Welcome, you guys. I'm so excited to see you all here today. I am actually in our At Properties St. Joe, Michigan office today with the wonderful Miss Amy Kaur, and we're coaching a bunch of our Michigan and Indiana agents over the next couple of days. So super fun. Today in Accelerate, we are going to be talking about our listing presentation and our listing process. And we have an amazing special guest coach today with us, Miss Ann Hodge. I just want to do a quick record, make sure this is recording. Okay, cool. What I'd first like to do is I would love to go over some April feedback that you guys gave us. Thank you so much for taking our survey. Your feedback is super important for us. And I would love to give some shout outs from our April surveys. We had a couple agents who had some really good successes the past month that I wanted to highlight. First is Miss Mora, and she is from our ELP office. And Mora says, my CRM is 90% ranked, and I have spent hours cleaning it up. And I sent out 12 cap gifts. I love this, Mora. This is amazing. It's so simple, but just taking the time to rank your CRM and to actually send out some cap gifts is an awesome win in my book. So congratulations. That is a really, really great success. Then we have Lisa from the Gold Coast office. She picked up a listing, got a townhome under contract, and she sees the benefits of making calls, which of course we love, because what did we talk about in April was prospecting. So congratulations, Lisa. I love to see that you're churning and burning some business, and of course that you're making your phone calls. And then we have Lynn from the Arlington Heights office. She says, I'm back in the game and I'm making consistent progress. It wouldn't have happened without Accelerate, which of course I love to see. And how can I not celebrate that? So congratulations, Lynn. Consistent, small progress as we go throughout the year. That is all that matters. You do not have to move mountains. You just have to make small, consistent changes and efforts every day, and all of those will snowball. So thank you, Lynn, and I'm excited that you're excited to be in Accelerate. All right, so let's get into it. Amy, I know, presented for us this month on stellar seller services, and she talked a lot about our listing presentation process. And we, of course, know it's important, right? Because a lot of agents go into a listing presentation not very finessed and not very polished and not using all the resources that they have to win that business. We want you to do things better. So we have a great guest coach today. Ann Hodge is here from our Western Springs office. I'm super excited to have Ann here. We've had a chance to chat, and I've gotten some good insight into how Ann handles listings and things like that. I was trying to find a good guest coach for this session, and I kind of took a poll with our managing brokers in the beginning of the year. And I said, I need a great guest coach who does a bang up job with listing presentations. And I want them to be a guest coach for Accelerate in May. And Ann was one of the first names recommended to me. So I'm super excited to have you here today with us, Ann. I think Ann can explain to you how it was interesting how when I asked her, she didn't even think she did anything amazing. And she was like, why are you asking me? But today, as we talk, you'll figure out why we asked Ann to be our guest coach today. So a little bit about Ann. So I love this. She has a background in civil engineering and technology sales. Again, she works out of the Western Springs office. She sold over approximately $150 million. She lives in LaGrange with her husband and her two sons, and she enjoys paddle, which is so trendy and cool. Golf, which PS, I just signed up for golf classes, which I'm super excited about. Awesome. And Pilates, which we've talked about, which we are both Pilates lovers. So Ann, welcome to Accelerate today. We're super happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, thanks so much.
Give us a little information on this background in civil engineering and technology sales, and kind of just give us like a minute or two on how that led you to real estate.
Yeah. So, it was one of those things. As a typical 18-year-old, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was good at science and math. So I went to Purdue for civil engineering and worked in that field for maybe a year and just felt like it wasn't for me. I love that real estate is a different day every day. I've always been kind of obsessed with real estate. When I was younger, I would beg my parents to take me to the Parade of Homes when I was like 13. So long story short is when my husband, then boyfriend, was buying a condo, I was kind of unimpressed by some of the process. And I was like, I would love to do this better. And yeah, so I kind of found my passion.
Awesome. Love that. And do
Yeah.
you find that your background in civil engineering and tech sales, does that help you kind of like take things up a notch in real estate?
Yeah, I think it does. I think, people can recognize that I, have been able to succeed at something that some people perceive as being very technical. So I do like kind of the spreadsheet apps aspect of our job in being able to price things out appropriately. But also I always say there's an art and a science to it. So the science is kind of the civil engineering and the art is more of my creative side.
Love it. Love it. Well, awesome. Well, we're going to get rolling into just a nice casual dialogue conversation with Anne. I have some good questions that I'd like to ask you that I think would be like really insightful for our agents to learn about. So you're from what I hear is that you are the queen of our listing process, right? And I would love for you to explain what is your listing process, kind of like step 1 through step 10. What do you do? And while you're telling us what your listing process is, could you also add in kind of what tools you're integrating as well? I think that would be helpful too.
Sure, yeah. So first of all, you touched on this at the beginning that I don't think I do anything super special. I literally kind of follow Amy's perfect listing presentation. And I think if you do that, that actually what I feel like is almost the bare minimum will set you apart from any other competition you have. So this isn't something that should overwhelm you. It shouldn't, feel like you're doing rocket science here. I would say follow the steps and also customize it to make it your own. And so that's kind of what I did. So my first step is, you receive a call or an inquiry on a listing. And typically, I think Amy's presentation says, kind of go into your forward questions, things like that. What I typically do is I have that initial call just basically to set up the first appointment to go visit the home. I live in an area where it's very hard to do a CMA without going into the home. We have historic homes. We have homes that have been recently renovated. We have homes that haven't been renovated since the 70s. So it's hard to know what you're kind of stepping into. So I will make the presentation or make the appointment. And then when I'm in the home, that's when I feel like I can connect with people a little bit better. So when you're there, you can look at photos on the wall. And if they, have a lot of vacation photos, you can talk about travel, or you can see if they have a lot of kids or grandkids. To me, that feels like a more organic way to connect with the seller. So I kind of wait until I'm there to really kind of cover the forward questions that Amy talks about. So when I'm at the presentation or when I'm at the first appointment, I have them walk me through the home. I take a lot of notes. I take photos at times just so I can jog my memory when I have to go back and what I say, do my homework. And then, and before I have to back up really quick, I always, after I get off the phone, I immediately send a digital listing presentation.
Yes,
So
awesome.
yeah, I already have one set up. You can go in there, you can basically make a copy and send it right off. So super easy peasy. And then I also always like to drop off the bag right before my visit. And I say, hey, I'm going to drop something off on your porch. I'd love for you to take a quick look at it before my first appointment. And it's just something that I know our competition doesn't do. They don't have access to tools like this. And you're going to be set apart from the competition right off the bat. So while I'm in the actual first appointment, I get a feel for the home, and then I also ask if they can sit down for a little bit. And I like to just kind of cover general market conditions. I want people to understand that I'm their expert in the market. I'm not just there to take photos and put a lockbox up and, hope that their home sells. I want them to understand that I know the market. I know the micro market of where they live. I know what the national headlines are and how that might not apply to their particular area. One of the tools that I love to bring with me is the custom market report. You can actually print that out for that particular neighborhood or community. And I leave that with them, and I usually touch on a couple of the points on that as well. So you're kind of leaving them with, a very good detailed report on the market that they can kind of think about while you go back and prepare your actual CMA. So I make a second appointment with them before I leave. And I actually like to do my second appointments at my office. So I know a lot of people go home or go back to their house to do the appointment. We have a great conference room in our office that I can put up the digital CMA that I prepare, and we can actually go over the photos and discuss how homes are similar and different than theirs. And I just feel like it feels a little bit more professional. And I love the fact that we can review the photos on a really large monitor and have a good discussion.
I love that.
I also
having
print out.
having that in the office is so awesome. Did you take Getting What You're Worth with Amy?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about that in that training class too, that having that last final meeting where you're reviewing comps and pricing really, really makes sense to do it at the office. So I love that you do that.
Yeah, there's something about it that makes it feel a little bit more just professional, in my opinion. And again, it just, I think it sets you apart.
Yeah.
I think most people just kind of go back to the house and they, give like a little, here's the CMA. I love the fact that we can present it really large on a professional computer.
Love it.
And then I also do print out that digital CMA for them as well, so they can have it and take notes on while we're going over the comps.
Awesome.
Yeah. So after that, I present a document that's basically a marketing checklist, and that's always custom to their home. I have one that's more for luxury homes where I might include things like videography. And then I have one for my standard listings. So I usually kind of tweak them a little bit to see what makes sense for their particular home. And then so they have a very good idea of, if they sign with me, what they're going to get from me as far as marketing. And then I also discuss the timeline. So I think we forget that we do this every day, and we forget that people don't sell their houses very often. And the more of a process, a very clear process I can present to these particular sellers, I want them to walk away not having a ton of questions and have a really good understanding of how it's going to work if they move forward with me. Because again, we just have to make their life as easy as possible. Selling their home is very stressful, and I want them to understand that I know exactly what the process is going to be, and I'm going to, take the reins and help them understand that this is going to be easy and enjoyable.
Love it. So do you get that listing paperwork signed at that meeting?
Yeah. So after I discuss the timeline, I do a lot of a lot of testing for reaction, which is something I used to do as a sales trainer. You ask questions like, how does that sound? And you kind of get them on board. How does it sound if we do photographs, in 2 weeks, things like that. And, as they're saying, yes, this sounds great, then, we get to the point where I say, okay, well, how does it sound if we go ahead and get this listed today? And
Awesome.
I think we're very afraid to actually ask for the listing.
Yeah.
But again, they're hiring you to have confidence that you're going to be able to do it well. They're hiring you because they want you to be a good salesperson, and a good salesperson asks for the business. So don't be afraid of it.
I love that. It's literally asking for the business is literally on a presentation that we're using with our Michigan friends today. So, and what I love about your process, Anne, as you're like walking through it, I'm thinking back to the presentation I created that Amy presented to you guys a few weeks ago on a listing process, and you literally follow our listing process. So I'm like, it isn't anything magical. We've laid it all out for you. And processes are, not the sexiest thing alive, but they're so important. And I feel like they help you set expectations right off the bat. They help you be confident, right? You're showing that you're confident, you're positioning yourself as the expert. it's making them feel that they're confident in you and your skills and your services, right? You're getting buy-in as you're going throughout the process. I just can't stress enough how important a very solid zipped up listing presentation process is. And if you guys follow what Ann's process is, or follow what we presented on the slides a couple weeks ago, or watch the perfect listing presentation course in Ad Academy, if you follow that, you're going to be light years ahead of your competition. And we tell you to do that for a reason, because we know you're going to be light years ahead of the competition, and because we know there's going to be a better chance of you winning that business. So, Ann, what would you say, and I didn't prep you for this, but what would you say your conversion rate is? Like, what is your success rate when you finally do get someone in for that final, comp review, pricing discussion, I'm getting listing paperwork signed? How much do you convert?
I mean, I don't know what the average is, but I do feel very lucky that I feel like my conversion rate's pretty high. I guess maybe lucky isn't the word, because
Oh, you're
I do work
prepared.
at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that once you kind of get them into your office too, you know that they're serious, right?
Yeah.
They're coming to you, they're coming to your workspace. If you get any pushback from that, then I think that would be a red flag. But no, I do feel very, very blessed that my conversion rate is pretty high, where if I don't get the listing, it's usually, because maybe someone has promised them something very unrealistic. I don't, if I don't sign listing agreements with prices on there that I know are very unrealistic. And those are the ones that you have to be okay with losing. It's not a really viable listing agreement anyway.
Yeah. I love that. So it's okay to walk away sometimes too, right?
Yes. And that's what I would tell people too. Once, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is this process isn't so much of them just interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well. There are times when I have decided that, it's not a good match. And of course, there's very good ways to go about that. But just have enough confidence and enough pride in your job that you have the ability to say no. I would say in sales, one of the things that I used to tell people when I was a sales trainer is the best salespeople I know are the ones that can say no.
Yeah. I love that. So don't be afraid to ask for the business, but also don't be afraid to turn the business down, right?
Yeah. Or, if people ask you, will you cut your commission? My answer is no. And a lot of times I don't even offer a response, and they just, okay, well, that's fair. And they move on. So
burning question.
Yeah, I mean, have a lot of pride in what you're offering them just by, working at properties and having all these tools and resources. Never discount that. It's
So
what you have to offer is amazing.
Do you ask for 6%?
So I have at certain price
points. Put you right on the spot.
Yeah. So, in my market's a little different. That's why I'm afraid to answer for everyone. But if it's a certain price point, I will ask for 6%. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a really good overview. Let me see if we have something going on in the chat. Tammy says, great idea. Tammy, was that the bringing them in for the presentation at the end to your office? I think that's a great idea too. It just really sets you apart and makes it seem so super professional. And you guys are professionals. You should be inviting people to the office and presenting something to them on a big screen. So I really love that. One other question, and then we probably have to review the homework, but how do you feel like once you get the listing, how do you feel like you go above and beyond for your sellers, and why is that important?
Yeah. So again, this is something that I don't consider above and beyond, but I'm realizing that it is considered above and beyond, I think, to many of my sellers. Just stay in touch with them and be overly communicative, if anything. I think you have to stay in touch with them if they're feeling overwhelmed, if they, I had a client who has little kids and they work so hard to prep their house, and then someone canceled very last minute. How frustrating. I dropped off a bottle of wine, hey, sorry, all of that, hang in there. it's that kind of stuff that I don't feel like is going above and beyond, but they remember that and they remember your compassion. And that's how you get great referrals. And then also too, just don't be afraid of having tough conversations. If your listing isn't getting great feedback, address the elephant in the room. If there's, something that needs to be done. I think the best agents out there are the ones that aren't afraid to have the really difficult and hard conversations. Your seller will appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you're almost doing it. I know it's scary to have those conversations and it's uncomfortable and awkward. Nobody likes them, right? So just recognize and fall on the sword, just go in with that. But you're almost doing a disservice to your
Mhm.
clients by avoiding those kind of conversations that really need to be talked about. So as hard as it is, just remember that having tough conversations is part of your value to a
Mhm.
customer, right? It's part of your value proposition. And sometimes there's roadblocks that exist that will never go away if you don't address the elephant in the room and you don't have those tough conversations. So it really benefits not only your client, but you to move things forward sometimes and just have those tough conversations. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I create that expectation during the listing presentation process. I tell people what my style is, and I do say, look, I am never going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to be very honest because my job is to successfully sell your home. So I will be having conversations with you that are going to make sure that we get to the closing successfully. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah, setting those expectations right off the bat. I really love that. Um, awesome. Well, Anne, quickly. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about. The one thing you didn't mention in your listing process, which we brushed upon last time we chatted, was the new agent endorsement email from your managing broker. Do you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that? Did you start using that yet?
Yeah, so definitely use that tool. I think again, it just sets you apart from your competition. I love that App Properties is always coming up with these new ways to just set us ahead of everyone. And these are free tools, which is so amazing. So use that, and it feels like you're getting a plug from management. I mean, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
go for it.
And that was presented as part of the process, you guys, in our slides from a couple weeks ago. And I was actually in the meeting where that idea came to fruition for the company. And fun fact, that idea came from an agent's brain. So Rick Sobin is our managing broker in our city region, and one of his agents had recommended that we do something like that. And everybody in the whole room, the whole leadership team was like, that is an amazing idea. Van Eck took some quick notes, and literally like 3 weeks later, we had this new program. So that's like the coolest thing about AT in my mind is you guys always have the best ideas and we love to hear them. And when we find and discover new ideas, we're able to implement them so fast because we create all of our own tech and tools, right? And so we develop most of our own stuff. So keep those recommendations coming. And for those of you who don't know what the agent endorsement email is, it's really, you go on platform, search in the little search box, agent endorsement, you'll fill out a little form. But when you're trying to win a listing as part of your listing presentation process, an email can go out from your managing broker to that client or prospective client, just saying how amazing you are, how your service is great, and kind of just giving you some extra support in winning that listing. So it looks cool when you get the support from your leadership team. Just another touch point and a way to differentiate yourselves from other brokerages that are probably not doing things like this.
Mhm.
So if you haven't checked out the agent endorsement email, please do so because it's very cool. And we have just 2 more minutes really
Yes.
quick. I want to ask your words of wisdom for our Accelerate
Yes.
participants.
Practice makes perfect, or close enough, as I say, because nothing's ever perfect. I would say I practiced my listing presentation with family and friends so many times, just to kind of get, to tweak it and make sure you're feeling really comfortable when you go in. But yeah, just practice. And then even if it's like your best friend that wants you to sell their house, don't just go in there with the listing paperwork. Practice on them. do the presentation, and then ask for feedback.
Love it. And then one other thing you talked about when we were talking was kind of like the current state of the market,
Yes.
and how you feel like now's the time to buckle down. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, elephant in the room that, it's slower out there for listings. So double down on everything. When things are slow, a lot of agents just kind of panic and they don't do anything. Double down on everything. I'm doubling down on all of my advertising. I'm doubling down on basically any tool that ad can give me. Because once we come out of this, everyone who's done that will be way ahead of the game.
Are you also doubling down on your prospecting efforts?
Yes. Yep.
Yes, that's what we talked about in the program in
Yeah,
April.
a lot of just phone calls like, hey, I know there's a lot of questions about the market. I'd love to, kind of give you a heads up of what I'm seeing here. People always want to talk about the value of their home. You're never bugging them. You're never bothering them.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne. We
Yeah.
loved having you on today. Lots of good wisdom shared today. Anna says, thank you. Fantastic. You're welcome. Let's review really
Thank you so
quick
much.
our homework, which of course is my favorite part to review. So we would love for you to prospect. I know we started our regular prospecting efforts in April by writing our 2 note cards and making our 5 calls each weekday. I would like you to add another layer to that, at least give it a try this month and send out a real estate review. You can use a DLP, you can attach a digital CMA. I would like you to do this and send it out to 5 A-ranked people in your CRM. Send it out to 5 and remember to follow up with a phone call. Did you receive my real estate review? I would love to meet for coffee for 15 minutes. The market is so interesting right now. You might be surprised how much equity you're sitting on. Coffee's on me. Are you available this week? Really quick. I do this for all my friends and family. So send out 5 real estate reviews and try to get some conversations churning. I would also, as bonus points, recommend that you watch the Perfect Listing Presentation course in Ad Academy. It really does a deep dive into a listing presentation process and gives you so many great ideas of things that you can implement into your life that will help you win more business. So your next meeting is your accountability group meeting next Wednesday, May 24th. I will be posting the meeting agenda in the app probably Friday when I'm back in town. So keep your eye out for that. Team leads, please remember to log your meetings on the tracker. And remember, there is no programming on Wednesday, May 31st due to the holiday. And thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. Good luck,
You're
everyone.
welcome. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Take care. Have a good day.